we're standing on the bridge beyond Iceberg Hell corner there, because that's the shot coming downwards. It's also a bit like the front wall of a bridge beyond Iceberg Hell corner there, because...
No, true. And you just wonder whether one or two think they might get away with something they couldn't do it from day one. Let's hope not. We've also had a number of cars crashed and hit this new system there. And we can go for some clear laps. Safety.
just had a bit of a mare getting my audio underway, but welcome back to the racing channel, everybody. We are here at Mount Panorama Circuit, Bathurst, for round 7 of the GT4 Championship, and we're in for a bit of a treat tonight. We've got a 17 car field for this one. First time in a little while that we've had near to a full grid for the GT4s. One tier tonight, just the one race. Everybody's out there trying to do the bits for their own respective championships. You've got the Tier 1 Championship and also the Tier 2s as well. The Tier 1 Championship looking pretty tasty. What's going on here? The server's just reset. I don't know what's happened there. Well, that's that wasn't ideal. That's definitely not what we wanted. So we're just going to take a very short break while we just get that sorted out. Don't know what's going on there. Welcome back, everybody. Apologies for that. Hopefully that's the only time that we get one of those this evening. Fingers crossed that was just maybe one of the admins there resetting the server, thinking it hadn't been done already, so who knows. But 1 minute into this qualifying session now, we've reset the server. We should be good to go for this one. Penultimate round of the season for the GT4s. As I was saying just before we did get disconnected a few moments ago, there are 2 different championships within this one server. So you've got the Tier 1 Championship, which looks like it could be set to go down to the wire next week. It's very, very close between Cheezmonkey, Will-Friedman, and also Standard Control. So it's looking pretty tasty and could get exciting in the championship battle. I'm just going to put up the championship standings here on the screen. So there they are. That is the Tier 1 championship standings. So Cheezmonkey leads the way on 307 points from Will-Friedman on 285. Standard Control tied with Will-Friedman on 285 points in second. So it's very, very tight between those two. Freeman, one of our coordinators for the GT4 League, actually, unable to join us tonight, so that's unfortunate. But that would be pretty much a spanner in the works for his hopes in the championship. So definitely not what he would have been wanting tonight. Marty Road Racing in the top 5, 241 points. Sergey Zeynalov not too far off of him on 222. HR USA in 7th in the standings on 147 points. Not quite the high-flying performance that we saw from him last season. He had to miss a couple of rounds, so unfortunately for him, not having the best season as he did in the previous season. Kodalungu in 8th place in the standings on 132 points, so just one clear of Ryan Ruby, who jumped in the oh, for goodness sake, what's going on? What is happening? What is happening? I really don't know what to say here.
Green light, show them what you got.
Ladies and gentlemen, apologies for the couple of breaks that we had there just in the commentary. We've just been struggling with the server connection. Hopefully it's alright now. We've got 18 drivers out on the track, so fingers crossed everything stays as it is and we can get some good racing underway, as we've got 5 minutes left to go in this qualifying session. As I said earlier on, we've got 2 different championships essentially on this grid, so the tier 1s and the tier 2s both out there on the same track. I thought, because seeing as we've got 18 people across both leagues actually readying up to say that they're confirming that they'll be racing tonight, it means that we decided we'd just have one full-on race, near enough full grid. So that's what we got out on track at the moment. Championships still very much on the line for the tier 1 championship, with Cheezmonkey leading the way on. So Cheezmonkey leads the championship on 307 points ahead of Will-Friedman, who's tied on points with Standard Control in its second place, but each of them on 285. Freeman unfortunately not able to join us tonight, so he will lose out on, probably be out of the championship battle after this round. Obviously we've got one more round next week, the finale at Alton Park, so both Cheezmonkey and Will be hoping to try and continue their momentum forward, and Standard Control as well. Cheezmonkey's got a 22-point lead, so he's currently looking pretty strong, but he'll want to try and ram that advantage home. I'm just noticing here, actually, looking at the lobby, I can't see Cheezmonkey. Oh no, he's in there. He's near the bottom of the leaderboard at the moment, so he's in here. I was thinking for a second he wasn't here, but he is here. Standard Control though is leading the way in this qualifying session, sat on a 2 minute 13.8, and showing everybody how it's done. Will-Friedman sat in second, 1.4 seconds off of him. But Standard Control a little way off of the time that we saw last season for the pole time. Last season we saw Javier Rands on pole position setting a 2 minute 12.5. I believe that was on the Bathurst 2019 track, so not strictly relevant to what we're seeing right now. The lap time about a second off generally on the 2020 tracks compared to the 2019, so it's not really, you can't really compare between the two. But but standard control definitely in the same sort of caliber as last season's champion Javier Ranz. Let's see what he does on this particular lap. He does a 2 minute 13.4, so he's continuing to get quicker and quicker lap times as this session goes on. Absolute class act, and credit to the Motive Racing League's is standard control, one of the quickest drivers on the PlayStation 4 platform on Assetto Corsa Competizione, and is once again stamping his authority on this grid. We've got Will-Friedman sat in second at the moment, 1.8 seconds off of him. Clegg sat in third. He's 2 seconds off of the pace at the moment, but we know that Clegg will be putting in a quicker lap times as this session goes on. He's got a bit of traffic in front of him though, as Marty Road Racing has gone up into 4th place with that last lap. He's just over 2 seconds off of standard control. Ryan Ruby in P5 doing a good job tonight. HR USA, Xander Flander in 7th. Nilsson sat in the pits at the moment, likewise Sergey Zeynalov. Sergey actually actually commentated on the race at Bathurst last season for the Tier 1s, and he gets to be out on the track tonight, so us two have swapped places in that sense, as I was out on the track myself for the GT4s last season, but sat in the commentary box for this one. We've got Grulo in 11th place, C. Mellish currently sat in 12th for the moment, Jude Martin. Big shout out to him actually, because he really does go the extra mile in order to take part in these races. He lives over in Australia and he wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning in order to compete in these races, so you've got to take your hat off to him. The determination that he's got in order to get himself involved in these races really is absolutely spectacular, and racing at his home track has probably got a bit of familiarity with Bathurst, so it's good to see. As we see, Cheezmonkey got up to 2nd place with that last lap. The championship leader, 22 points is his gap over standard control and Will-Friedman, who are tied on points in 2nd place. And Cheezmonkey knows that he could, I think he'd be able to take the championship if he just picks up a couple of podium finishes between now and the end of the season. If he picks up 2 third places, even behind standard control and Will-Friedman, he will have the championship done. So Cheezmonkey knows he's in a very good position here for this GT4 Championship. He needs to be consistent and get a couple of podium finishes in here at Bathurst and at Alton Park next week, and he'll be able to bring it home. But I'm sure that he'll be looking to try and take the win if he can, and he'll be pushing as hard as he possibly can to make sure he can beat these guys on the track and not just in the point standings. Standard Control's probably been the quickest driver over the course of this season. I'm not going to lie, he's definitely been the force to be reckoned with. But he joined the Tier 1s a couple of races too late, and actually was unlucky because only half of his points from the Tier 2s counted towards his Tier 1 total. If it hadn't been for that, I think he'd probably be just a little bit ahead of Cheezmonkey in the point standings. It'd still be close, it'd still be going down to the wire, I'm pretty sure of that, but I think it'd be about 10 points or something like that ahead of him. I mean, it's not making the biggest of odds, to be honest with you, but certainly he might feel a little bit aggrieved about that, but he'll be up there next season if he isn't this season, that is. But Cheezmonkey leading the championship, coming into his penultimate round of the season. 1 second between standard control and Cheezmonkey in this qualifying session. Will-Friedman a further 8 tenths off of Cheezmonkey in 3rd place. Clegg not too far off of Will. He's 2 tenths further back. Xander Flanders got ahead of Marty and Ryan Ruby in the closing stages of that qualifying session into 5th. Marty 6th. Ryan Ruby will be lining up in 7th with HR USA. Alongside him on the 4th row, Pete Bibb and Nilsson in 9th and 10th. With the Lazy Camel and Sergey Zeynalov a little way back in 12th place. Grulo and Duke Martin with the C. Mellish, Snooky, King Quinn, Castle Racing hasn't had a lap. Why is he has more than Castle Racing actually? Because we know he's quicker than that. Is he going to get a lap in at the end of this session? Hopefully he does. And we've also got such a nub in as well. Guest reserve driver for tonight. Let us know earlier on that he wanted to take part if possible. And it's good to have him out here tonight, looking to try and put in a good show in his ACC debut here at Motive Racing. Regular in our Project Class 2 GT3 League. Nice to see him getting in right at the end of this qualifying session as we see Castle Racing coming up towards the line here. Let's see what he can do on his only run of the session, and it looks like it's an invalid lap time. Very unfortunate there for Castle Racing, so that is not going to come to any avail for him. So I think that is that then for the qualifying session. Standard control ahead of Cheezmonkey. Will-Friedman and Clegg are the front 2 rows. We're going to go to a very, very short break, ladies and gentlemen, and then we'll have the race up and running in a moment. Welcome back everybody, we're here on the formation lap for the GT4 Tier 1 round 7 of the season for Motive Racing's GT4 Championship, and penultimate round of the season, championship getting to the business end. Very close in the standings. There are the championship standings coming into this one. So Cheezmonkey leads the way on 307 points. Will-Friedman and Standard Control tied in second place on 285. Freeman not here tonight, so he will definitely be a bit gutted at maybe being out of that fight for the championship, but still 3 guys in with a shout, and Cheezmonkey will know he only has to finish on the podium in the next 2 races here at Bathurst and at Alton Park if he is to bring home the title. Standard Control starting this one on pole position. We'll be hoping that he can just get away at the start, presumably, and try and leave them in his dust. Will-Friedman lining up in 3rd place, our Porsche Super Cup champion and admin here at Motive Racing. Also our standings and does all the championship standings for the ACC leagues. Will-Friedman will be looking to try and put the pressure on early doors here. We've got a lot of comments coming in here on the YouTube stream right now. Big shout out to everybody. We've got Aurora in the comments saying good luck to the Lazy Camel and everybody else as well. Victor Alvarez says this looks exciting. Good luck everyone. Victor Alvarez, otherwise known as I'm Such an Ups, jumped in as a reserve last minute here. Good to have him out on track. Ryan Racing, otherwise known as Ryan Ruby, currently sat in P7 at the moment. Going to start this one in P7. He says, let's hope I don't get spun out in turn 1 for the 3rd race in a row. Fingers crossed for you, Ryan. That would be some very bad luck indeed. deedeeTKU says, good luck everyone, have a good one. RaKiMaJe in the comments saying Tier 1 and Tier 2 together, let the surprises evolve. Good luck everyone, don't let the mountain win. Hopefully the mountain doesn't win. Last time we raced here we had actually quite a clean race, I think. There were only a couple of incidents up the mountain, and generally it was only drivers having incidents by themselves. There weren't too many collisions, so hopefully we get a similar race to what we had last season for the finale. Obviously this one was the last race of the season last time out. This time it is the penultimate round. We've got Miguel Grandon, otherwise known as Miguelito, former champion of the GT3s on Project Cars 2. Says, hi Andy, good luck to all the drivers. Welcome along mate, good to have you with us as they're coming in towards the final couple of corners here on this formation lap. So it's going to be Standard Control leading us away from Cheezmonkey, Will-Friedman and Gwinnett lining up behind them. Xander Flander in 5th place with Marty Road Racing alongside him. Ryan Ruby and HR USA on the 4th row with Pete Bibb and Nilsson behind them. The Lazy Camel, King Quinn, Sergey Zeynalov and Duke Martin, and then we've got Grulo and Snooky in 15th and 16th places. C-Melish and Castle Racing did a lapping in that one. He'll be disappointed with that. I'm Such an Up as a reserve racing in this one very last minute, but hopefully he has a good one as we're coming up towards the line and about to start this race. Here we go. And it looks like we're green. We are racing here at Mount Panorama, and Standard Control looks like he gets a good fight coming up towards turn 1. Cheezmonkey's going to try and get around him if he can, and he might have a steady the cars with here because Cheezmonkey's got a great run here coming out onto this to the long straight up towards turn 2. They're going to go side by side, I think. But Standard Control looks like he has a slender lead at the moment. Cheezmonkey's alongside him as they're coming up towards turn 2. Here we go, up the hill they go now. Will-Friedman still sat in 3rd place just behind these. Prodeo looks like we've got side-by-side action. Xander Flander and Marty Road Racing, but has Cheezmonkey pulled off a move here on Standard Control up into the lead of the race? I think he may have done, they're still side-by-side coming up towards turn 3, and I think maybe Cheezmonkey has got the lead of the race. Yes, he's done it. He's moved up into the lead. So Cheezmonkey, the championship leader, put in one on Standard Control very early on here, and we've still got Standard Control. So Will-Friedman still sat in 3rd place with Prodeo just behind him. Ryan Ruby up to 5th place. Good start from him. Xander Flander, Marty Road Racing's dropped a couple of positions here at the start of this race. HR USA, Pete Bibb, Sergey running just behind Pete Bibb in 10th place with the Lazy Camel just behind him. King Quinn in 12th. Snooky, Duke Martin having a little battle. Castle Racing's already picked up 3 places here on this opening lap, so he's had an absolute stormer of a start to this race. C-Melish has got up a couple of positions up ahead of Grulo, and I'm Such an Up's got ahead of Nilsson. Oh no! As I'm Such an Up's in the wall and Nilsson gets collected there. Very unfortunate for those two. They've dropped well off the back of the pack here on this first lap. Not the start they would have been hoping for. Cheezmonkey though, leading this race, having got the position done. He got a great run out of turn 1 in the initial getaway. Standard Control held on to pole position, but Cheezmonkey managed to get a beautiful exit out of turn 1. Dragged him all the way up towards turn 2 and got the lead of the race. Now what has he got to show to defend his position here and keep on to this lead and possibly extend his championship gap going into the final round next week at Alton Park? Will-Friedman right up the jump for these two in 3rd place as they're coming up down the chase towards the chicane. Prodeo just sat behind him right now as well as looking to try and size up his prey here. We've got Xander Flander, Marty Road Racing and HR USA pretty close. Also Pete Bibb and Sergey seems to be having a great little scrap here in 9th and 10th places. Lazy Camel, Kingpin and Snooky having their own battle. That trio there just looking pretty close at the moment. Duke Martin and Castle Racing's onto the back of Duke a little bit. In the foreground though, we've got Snooky trying to line up a move there on Kingpin. Had a little look to the inside into the final corner, but he wasn't quite in a position to go for it fully, as we see Standard Control really riding over that curb there on the exit of turn 1. He'll be frustrated to have lost that lead to Cheezmonkey. He knows he needs to finish ahead of Cheezmonkey to keep himself in the hunt here for this title in the GT4s, and that's not how he's going to do it. He needs to get ahead of him, ideally pretty sharpish. Will-Friedman just sat behind. Looks like Ryan Ruby and Xander Flander have dropped off of this lead pack of 4 cars a little bit. They're now about 2 seconds adrift of Cheezmonkey, Standard Control, Will-Friedman and Clegg, and Marty Road Racing still onto the back of these guys. But we've got a hell of a train here in the background as HR USA still trying to fend off Pete Bibb. These two side by side, and what is going to happen here, I think. In fact, no, I do apologise there. That's actually HR USA on the back of Marty Road Racing, and these guys having an absolutely brilliant battle up the hill. But Xander Flander trying to break away from Ryan Ruby and Marty Road Racing. Right now, Marty's still trying to give a little bit of a hassle to Ryan Ruby. He's got HR USA right behind him. Oh no, Ryan into the wall. Ryan's binned it, and he's lost the position there. Oh no, that's Pete Bibb. Oh my goodness me, there's a bit of a collision there. As Ryan Ruby kind of triggered it, I think they were trying to take evasive action, the other cars, as they came up that section of the track. It was Ryan Ruby who binned it first. Oh, and there's a big crash here. A big crash going on. I think there's a lot of cars involved there. Pete Bibb possibly involved. The cameras are not doing us a lot of favours here. But, oh no. HR USA and Pete Bibb both caught up in that one. Ryan Ruby's retired the car. Either that or he's bringing it into the pits for repairs, but he will go a lap down there due to those repairs. Marty Road Racing managed to get through it all, but HR USA and Pete Bibb having a nightmare in that one. Sergey managed to get through it as well, and the Lazy Camel's up ahead of these guys, as is King Quinn as well. Oh, that is just rotten luck there for HR USA and Pete Bibb. They're dropping way back down the order here in this race. Not the first few laps that they would have been hoping for here at all, and that's gone absolute Pete Tong there for those guys. As we see Cheezmonkey coming out of the last corner, he's still got Standard Control breathing down his neck and trying to get that position back off of him if he can. But for the time being, Cheezmonkey's holding his own and has actually got almost a second of a gap here to Standard Control, so he's reading in the bits right now. And Will-Friedman still giving Standard Control a lot of something to worry about here. Clegg sat in the background in 4th place, keeping with this trio as well. So you've got the championship battlers here, Cheezmonkey, Standard Control and Will-Friedman, and Clegg in the background, keeping them honest. So Clegg could potentially become a bit of a factor here in this one, as we see Will-Friedman have a little look to the inside of Standard Control in towards turn 2, but he couldn't get it done there and had to think better of that one. But lots of drama here in the opening couple of laps at Mount Panorama for round 7 of the GT4s, penultimate round of the season, 8 rounds altogether in this campaign. And Cheezmonkey still has the lead of the race. Standard Control took a 10th back there in that first sector, so they're pretty much tip-for-tap at the moment. And Clegg has dropped off in this top 3 just a little bit over the course of this lap so far. Castle Racing continuing to make great progress through the field. Started in 18th spot, let's not forget. He's already up into 9th place, so it cannot be overemphasised what a great job Castle Racing's done in these opening couple of laps. He's onto the back of King Quinn. King Quinn's quite a way off. Sergey running in 7th place. Sergey in turns dropping off of Xander Flander and Marty a little bit. And Xander Flander started to gap Marty Road Racing ever so slightly now. Duke Martin running a little bit behind Castle Racing since Castle Racing made the move, and then Brulo's closing up onto the back of Duke Martin a little bit, 0.4 of a second separating those guys. Snooky has got C. Mellish breathing down his neck as well. C. Mellish has to try and get that 12th place if he can. Ryan says in the comments there, car acted so weird that lap, sorry lads. Apologising there for the mass pile-up that ensued up the mountain top, and yeah, I wouldn't worry about it too much, Ryan. These things happen, and obviously, you know, don't be surprised if someone does put a steward inquiry in, but obviously the best thing you can do is just learn from it, take it on the chin and come back stronger, isn't it really? But unfortunate there for you, mate. Obviously that's going to have wrecked your race a little bit, but still a long way left to go. Hopefully you can get back out on the track and get yourself involved in some good battles here, albeit a lap down or two. But you've still got a race going on here at the front. Cheezmonkey's got a 1.2 second lead at the moment over Standard Control. And Will-Friedman looking very close on the back of standard control, 0.3 of a second separating those two as they went past the last checkpoint. But Gwinnett dropping off with this lead back a little bit. He's now got Zander for company. Marty Road Racing not too far off of these also. deedeeTKU saying go run DJC. Currently team run DJC being represented by Marty Road Racing, sat in 6th place. Also Sergey Zeynalov running in P7 right now. And just having a look down the order to see if there are any other team run DJC members. Not as far as I know. Not as far as I know. I don't know if I may stand corrected on that one. Let me know, deedeeTKU, if there are any other team run DJC members out there. But I believe that Marty and Sergey are the sole representatives. I could be wrong there. But right now, Cheezmonkey leads the race, and he's got Will-Friedman now up into 2nd place. So Will's got ahead of standard control. Standard control losing a couple of positions since the start of this race. Obviously started it on pole position. He knows he really needs to be winning this race if he wants to take the championship, as does Will. Both of these two losing points to the championship leader Cheezmonkey as it stands. Oh, what's happened here? Will's made a mistake though. He's gone into the barriers up the mountain, and that's given standard control the position back. So he moves back up into 2nd place now. Will making a very uncharacteristic error there. Xander Flanders still just behind Cordeo. Looks like Cordeo's put a bit of a gap to him since Xander Flander pulled up onto the back of him. I think that it might have been a mistake from Cordeo that brought Xander Flander into that battle, because now Cordeo has got the hammer down once again. And Xander Flander's got just under 2 seconds of a gap back to Marty Road Racing. Gap between Cheezmonkey and standard control almost up at 3 seconds now, so Cheezmonkey is absolutely flying up front. And he knows that he can give himself a great chance of taking this GT4 title. If he can win tonight, the gap would be almost 30 points in the championship. Sorry, well, I just had to adjust my chair, and that might be why I sounded a little bit like a bit strained there. But we've got G Martin. Has he dropped off at the back of... I think, has he had a mistake there? I think he might have done. He's now 10 seconds off of King Quinn, so I don't know what's happened there to Duke Martin. But yeah, I think he might have had a bit of an error somewhere out there. Castle Racing has had a mistake also, because he was running in 9th place. He's now dropped down the order. He's now behind Brulo here as Castle Racing, so something's gone horribly wrong there. Yeah, in that number 84. I don't know what's gone on, but he must have had some kind of a skirmish. As you see Will-Friedman coming into the pits, so presumably that little knock into the wall up the mountain has meant that he has to come in and get it repaired. That's really unfortunate there for Will-Friedman, and that could potentially be his championship hopes in this GT4 Championship done and dusted for this season. Obviously, Will did take the Porsche Super Cup crown on Monday night at Monza, so maybe the celebrations from that possibly affecting his performance tonight, who knows, but it looks like it's not going to be a second championship for Will-Friedman in the space of the season. Cheezmonkey though, leading this race by 3.5 seconds, and he's looking very good for extending his gap in this championship, but still a long way to go, and standard control just needs to get into a rhythm and try and close that gap if he can. Only 10 minutes left, only 10 minutes gone in this 1 hour race. But the pack's starting to spread out a little bit now. Not really too many battles going on. It was a dramatic opening couple of laps. It was breathtaking. You can hardly keep up with it, but now it is starting to peter out ever so slightly. But it's still looking like a pretty exciting race, still shaping up to have a bit of drama here. Also, so nice to have a full grid out on track as well. It really is quite a sight to behold. But we've got Castle Racing, Brulo and Snooky all in the pits. So I imagine that Castle Racing has got a bit of damage on the car as well. I mean, he did drop from 9th to 14th in the space of a lap. Brulo and Snooky also must have some damage on their cars. It's an uncompromising track mount panorama, to be fair. It is, you know, that mountain section, you've got those elevation changes and you've got those heavy braking zones. The walls are so close. It really is a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. I'm glad that I'm commentating on this one. Some drivers love it, some drivers hate it. It's really a love or hate thing. There's no real in between around this track. You either absolutely click with it or you just can't do it. And unfortunately for me, I'm in the latter category. But right now we've got Cheezmonkey leading this race by 4.5 seconds over standard control. So Cheezmonkey in the box seat really in this championship battle. Standard control still running in second place for now. There is still sat in third place. He's dropping off of these a little bit. He's pulled out a bit of a gap to Xander Flander, and Xander Flander's keeping the gap to Marty at pretty much exactly the same. It's been 1.8 seconds pretty much since I can remember in this race. We've got Sergey dropping off of the top 5 a bit. He's 11 seconds off of Marty Road Racing. He's still sat in 6th place though, and still doing a good job. He's got a bit of a gap back to King Quinn. Stuart Martin continues to drop off of the leaders. He's 14 seconds behind King Quinn. He's only got a couple of seconds back to Pete Bibb. And C-Maj just dropped off at the back of Pete Bibb a little bit. That's the battle for 9th and 10th places. Nilsson still sat in 11th. Will-Friedman having made that impromptu pistol side drive. Oh no! Somebody's lost it there. Number 28. I'm such a knob. A couple of laps down there. He's obviously made a bit of a mistake there coming through the chicane. He's got it going once again, but that will have lost him quite a bit. Ryan Ruby sat down in 19th place, having had those early calamities, and it's going to be a long way back for him. He's not going to be able to get any places unless another driver has a similar kind of incident, but he's definitely going to want to show his speed and show his talent, maybe catch up to a couple of drivers and give them a bit of a fight, albeit it won't be for position, it'll be a lap down. But Ryan Ruby, a very talented kid, and it's good to see him getting out of the pits and continuing on, not calling it a day. But right now, gap between Cheezmonkey and Standard Control coming down a little bit. It was 4.4 the last time we had a look. It's now 3.8, so Standard Control's gained 0.6 of a second out there, and it's continuing to bring it down 0.2 on that final sector there. So now Standard Control maybe starting to get his tyres up to temperature and getting into a bit of a rhythm. Could potentially be giving Cheezmonkey a bit of a fight here in this race. Cheezmonkey, as it stands, to be extending his championship gap, so Standard Control really needs to get the hammer down and get himself in front of him. Ideally, for Standard Control, we'd want Cheezmonkey to make a few mistakes, but right now it doesn't look like Cheezmonkey is showing any signs of faltering. He's resolutely leading this race as they're coming around turn 2 here on lap 7 of this one. Almost 15 minutes into this 1 hour race here for the GT4 Championship here at Motive Racing. If you like what you see, guys, if you're watching live on YouTube or Facebook, please drop a like on the video, as it really helps us out an enormous amount. And if you want to become a part of the action, then be sure to go to motiveracing.com. You can see in the bottom right hand corner, you can join the leagues at motiveracing.com. We've got our new season starting up on the 6th of September. This is the penultimate round of the GT4, so the season's coming to an end. But a new one will be starting up on the 6th of September. GT4s, I think, will be on the 8th of September. But as a whole, we've got the Porsche Super Cup starting up on the 6th. We've got the GT4 Gwinnett Championship, a 1-week series on ACC on Tuesday nights. We'll have the GT4s back on a Wednesday night, as they are here. We've got the Friday night, we've got the Formula 1 League starting up. That's actually starting next week. That's on F1 2021. Obviously, the new Codemasters F1 game. Then we'll have the Project Cars 2, GT3 and LMP2 leagues on a Saturday night, alongside the Lamborghini Trophy, the Lambo Trofeo on ACC. That's also another 1-week series, which will be running in between the GT3s and the LMP2s on Project Cars 2. So we'll be jumping over to ACC, then back onto Project Cars 2. So our Saturday night show is going to be pretty hectic, but we've also got the Sunday night ACC GT3s, which is probably our biggest ACC league on PlayStation, and following that we'll have the GTEs on Project Cars 2. So that will be technically a week for our Sim Super Season coming up, starting up in September. So if anybody is interested in that, head over to motiveracing.com. As we say, plenty of action to get involved with. As you see, Cheezmonkey's gap to Standard Control continuing to come down. Standard Control is doing bits right now. He is really bringing that gap down. Absolutely on it here at the moment. Cheezmonkey was extending the gap in the early stages, but now it looks like Standard Control is really getting into a bit of a rhythm. We've got Mini Ducks in the comments there saying, I'm really bad at ACC, but it's always fun to watch. Well, if you like me, Mini Ducks, and you prefer to sit in the commentary box, then you'll definitely enjoy Motive Racing, because we stream all of the races. We live broadcast, live commentary on every single one of our events here for our league events. So you always have fun if you head over to Motive Racing, check out what we're doing. Obviously we've got an off-season break coming up pretty soon after the GT4s come to an end next week on a Wednesday night. So from then on, it will just be pretty much just little events going on. We'll be running probably daily events as well. and streaming those, trying to get a few extra faces in the community and max out those grids, make sure we've got 4 grids for every category that we've got. But yeah, if you enjoy watching some good races on the PlayStation platform, on ACC or Project Cars 2, then drop a subscription to Motive Racing, drop a like as well, as it really helps us out an enormous amount. It shows us that we're doing it right. If you think we're doing it wrong, then don't be afraid to drop a dislike as well. I know there's a group of troublesome people out there who keep dropping likes on the videos, and I'm pretty sure I know who they are. Disgruntled ex-staff members, but anyway, they aside from that, if you want to come and get involved in some good clean racing, then definitely come along. We've got a great community. We're always willing to help each other out and help each other improve, share setups, do whatever it takes to get the maximum out of the car. And we're all pushing each other to the highest level. As you can see here, these two are no exception, Cheezmonkey and Standard Control. And Cheezmonkey now losing time to our man sat in second place. Standard Control is really getting the laps down. You can see visibly he's quicker at this stage in the race. I don't know if Cheezmonkey's made a mistake or put it into the wall somewhere out there, but he's definitely dropping into the clutches of Standard Control at this point. Maybe just dropping his concentration a little bit. He needs to get himself back in the game and keep pushing, because there's a long way left to go in this race. Not even a third of the way into this one at the moment. Standard Control looks like he's got the momentum at this point. As also, I'm just noticing on the timing screen here, Marty Road Racing's got the gap down to Xander Flander to under half a second here as they completed lap 8. So these two looking pretty close. They are not too far off the back of Cledg. Cledg's 5 seconds up the road from them in that final podium spot right now. And obviously Will-Friedman was occupying that final podium spot earlier on in the race, but unfortunately he had a bit of a mistake, put it into the wall in the mountain section. So Will-Friedman and his championship hopes looking like they might be dashed for this season. Looking like it's going to be very much between these two, Cheezmonkey and Standard Control. And Cheezmonkey's managed to pull a bit of a gap out to Standard Control in that first sector there. It's up to 1.5 seconds. So Cheezmonkey responding to that pressure that Standard Control is trying to pile on him at this point. And he looks like he's really raggying that Ginetta down. And to be fair to these two, you've got to take your hat off to them, because the Ginetta around this track, you know, is not really, on paper, not the best car. Seeing it is a bit of a power track. Now the mountain is the exception to that, but you've got the run, you've got the start finish straight, you've got the run from turn 1 to turn 2 up the hill, you've also got the downhill stretch leading towards the chase. These parts of the track are incredibly fast, and the Ginetta is a sitting duck for most cars in those parts of the track. So the job that these boys are doing in the corners, managing to max out the grip of those Ginettas through certain parts of the track, cannot go understated. It really is phenomenal what these two are managing to get out of these Ginettas. But Cheezmonkey's still leading this race by just over a second. Standard Control is hunting him down though, and he is coming for that lead as we are a third of the way into this one. 20 minutes into the race, 5 minutes from the pit window opening. Pit window will be open from minutes 25 to 35. And obviously there's been a couple of guys who have come into the pits already to fix damage, so they will have to come in again to observe that pit window rule, as it will not count as their mandatory pit stop. But now 7/10 of a second separating these two leaders out of turn 1 here for the 10th time here in this race. Xander Flander still facing a bit of pressure from Marty Road Racing. These two separated by 7/10 at the last checkpoint. Looks like it's up to 8/10 now since Xander Flander's found the 10th in that final sector. Grulo's got a bit of pressure from Pete Bibb by the looks of it, as he got ahead of him. Actually, he might have done a thing. No, he's still behind him at the moment, but yeah, he's dropped off a little bit actually, as Ryan Ruby's getting well out of the way there, letting the leaders through. Obviously got so unlucky at the start of this race, did Ryan Ruby, saying in the comments there, his engine's blown up, so he wasn't moving out of the way. His engine is gone, and that is his race done and dusted. That is so unfortunate there for Ryan Ruby, but his race was pretty much over by that point anyway. It was just, it's kind of just rock salt in the wounds really, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back. But unfortunately there, Ryan Ruby out of this race. We're down to 17 runners here in this one. I'm touching up in the pits. I don't know if he's retired the car, but HR USA is closed off into the back of the Lazy Camel actually. This battle for 12 places heating up. Pete Bibb's dropped off the back of Grulo considerably. He's now 5 seconds behind him on the track. Let's go back to the battle for the lead though, because we've got Cheezmonkey and Standard Control still separated by 4/10 of a second, and also Xander Flander and Marty pretty close on the track as well. Martin continuing to hunt Zeynalov down. Pit window opens in 3 minutes time. We've got so many battles going out on the track right now, it's impossible to keep track of everything. But it looks like Lazy Camel and HR USA pretty close, and HR USA is trying to line up a move here, coming down the chase. Is he going to be able to though? In fact, I think he's done it actually. Yeah, he has. He's made the move already there, so he missed that. In fact, HR USA is up into 12th place as the timing board's still yet to update itself. But nice stuff there from him. Victor Alvarez, otherwise known as I'm Such Enough, saying in the comments, I'm not good at racing ACC and I'm a lap or two down, but it's still fun. That's the spirit, absolutely. It's great stuff there. Oh, somebody moves it in the background, coming out of the final corner. Who is that? That's a driver who's a lap down, I would imagine. Who was that? Who was that in the background? There was somebody losing the car, black car in the background, lost it out of the final corner, and we don't know who it was. Oh no. I guess we'll just have to let our imaginations run wild as to who that was. Oh, it was Standard Control. It was Standard Control on the back of Cheezmonkey. It was the battle for the lead, I think. Was it? I think it must have been. Yeah, it was. Oh no, Standard Control's made a mistake. Cheezmonkey's now left with a sizable advantage here in this race. Standard Control was trying to put the pressure on him and find a way through up into the lead of the race, but that was him bidding it out at the last corner. And he's now well off with the leader, Cheezmonkey. As we were watching the battle for 12th place, we saw a car spinning out in the background. I assumed it was a back marker. It wasn't. It was the man in second place in the race. He was on the back of Cheezmonkey. He's now dropped out of that battle for the lead, and Cheezmonkey pretty much just has to bring this one home. 10 seconds of a gap, just over halfway left in this race, a minute until the pit window opens. Marty's dropped off at the back of Zeynalov a little bit in the battle for 4th place now. That's just over a second separating those two. Duke Martin's got Steve Mellish reeling him in now, half a second between these two. Although Duke Martin's made a bit of a mistake there. HR USA's already nearly 5 seconds clear of the Lazy Camel stage. HR USA's done absolute bits here since that, and it's now to try and set his attention on Will-Friedman up the road. Castle racing within a second and a half of Snooky and continuing to bring that gap down as well for 16th place. Let's watch this battle here between Duke Martin and C Manage, because these two separated by about half a second at the moment. It's looking pretty tight. Oh, it's C Manage though, all over the place, coming through turn 2, gets a bit onto that curve and attacked him a little bit, which won't have helped his cause in getting up into that P8 position ahead of Duke Martin. At the moment, Duke Martin holding on. Duke Martin, I want to say another big shout out to him. I said it earlier on. He's one of the most committed drivers I've ever seen in sim racing. He races in these GT4s on what is a Thursday morning for him. Obviously, for the rest of us, it's a Wednesday night. If you're in Europe, or if you're in the UK, it's a Wednesday night. Or if you're in the US, it's a Wednesday afternoon. But for him, it's a very early Thursday morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. Duke Martin sets his alarm to jump in and join us for this GT4 Championship. So hats off to him for that commitment and that determination to be involved in the races. And right now he's sat in 8th place in some very, very good points. We can keep it where he is right now. He'll be definitely picking up a solid reward here for the point standings. And C-Manage has dropped off him a little bit over the course of this lap. C-Manage started to make a few mistakes, maybe losing a bit of front grip in that turbulent air of Duke Martin. Right now though, Cheezmonkey's still leading this race. The championship leader coming into this round has got an 11-second gap over Standard Control, and it looks like he's going to extend his gap in the point standings. Cheezmonkey has been incredibly consistent over the course of this season. Standard Control taking more wins than anyone else this season, but Cheezmonkey has come of age very, very well at the nick of time really. 2 races left in the season. He's got a 22-point gap in the championship due to Standard Control racing in Tier 2 at the start of this season. He was able to carry over half of his points from Tier 2, but not the full points tally that he would have gained from the first two races. He took 2 wins from 2 races in Tier 2, then got a premature call up to Tier 1. And as a result, was able to carry through half of his points from Tier 2, so he gained, I think it was 72 points from Tier 2, he was able to carry 36 of those through to Tier 1, so technically he's only missed out on 36 points, but being 22 points behind Cheezmonkey in the championship, that would have given him the championship lead. coming into this round, so maybe he would have been ruining the fact that he started off in Tier 2 for this season, but Standard Control has done an excellent job since jumping into Tier 1. Cheezmonkey though has just been so consistent throughout the course of this season and currently leads this race, has come into this round knowing that if he can finish ahead of Standard Control and Will-Friedman, he gives himself a really good chance of taking the title next week at Alton Park, and he's doing the bits right now as he's just put a lap there on HR USA. Standard Control's in the pits to make his mandatory pit stop. Pit window is open now. C-Melish also doing the same. Lazy Camel's just coming into the box to get his pit stop done and out of the way, as is Snooky as well. So these four guys the first to come in. Marty Road Racing also pulling the trigger, as is Sander Flander. So 6 of the drivers currently coming in and getting their pit stops done. Sergey Zeynalov just coming around in towards the final couple of corners of his 12th lap here. Is he going to come in and make that pit stop? No, he's going to stay out for the time being. What about King Quinn? Is he going to pull the trigger? Nope, he stays out as well. Martin here just coming in towards the final part of his lap, and he's got some shots behind him on the track there. Is that Quideo behind him? No, it's not Quideo. Not 100% sure who it is, to be honest. Oh, it's Nilsson. I think it might be Nilsson. Actually, I don't think so. No, it wouldn't be Nilsson. As we see, Standard Control is into the pits, so he's made that pit stop. He's out of the pits now, so he's got that done. The question is, can he try and close the gap to Cheezmonkey through the pit stop phases? Came into the pits around 10 seconds behind Cheezmonkey. Depends on if he's put tyres on. If he hasn't put tyres on, that could gain him about 5 seconds in the pits. If he really gets the hammer down over these next few laps, maybe he might be able to close that gap to Cheezmonkey. But if Cheezmonkey puts a fresh set of boots on, then he'll have the pace towards the end of the race. So it's going to be a fascinating strategic battle now. I would assume that Standard Control may have got a bit of damage from his spin into the last corner. He looked like he tagged the wall a little bit. I'd be surprised if he got away with no damage. But as we see, Cheezmonkey is coming into the pits to get that pit stop done, covering off any possibility of Standard Control getting the jump. Quideo will inherit the race lead unless he too comes into the pits. Nilsson's still in the pits and on his way out in a few moments' time, one would imagine. So around half the field's made their pit stop. Standard Control, Marty, Sander Flanders, C-Melish, Lazy Camel, Snooky have all got those pit stops done. Nilsson and HR USA coming in the background just behind him there to get his pit stop done as well. And Cheezmonkey and Quideo both in the pits. So Quideo's coming in, opting not to take the race lead for a couple of laps, and he's coming into the pits to get that pit stop done and out of the way. Sergey Zeynalov's coming round towards the final corner now.
We are halfway through, not over yet.
As we see, Nilsson's off and on his way. Looks like Will was on the back of Sander Flander, but oh my goodness me, Sander Flanders, I made a mistake there. He's made a big error coming out onto the downhill stretch, and that is him out of the race. I think he's retired the car to the pit lane. Is he going to go for repairs and try and keep it out there for the rest of the race? I'm not sure. But Sander Flander looked like he was having a bit of a tussle with Will-Friedman. Will-Friedman's staying out for the time being. He's still yet to make his mandatory stop. Came into the pits early on, but it wasn't during the mandatory pit window, so he's got to come in again in the next couple of laps. As we see, he's coming in to get that pit stop done now. Just behind Pete Bibb, currently sat in P14, so he's a lap ahead of Pete Bibb. Both of those two coming in and getting those pit stops done. Cheezmonkey though, net leader of this race, only a couple of seconds behind the actual leader, Sergey, who's still got a pit. Let's see what Cheezmonkey's gap to Quideo is in second. Looks like it's pretty sizable. In fact, Standard Control has maintained a net second place ahead of Quideo, so he's come out in front of him there. Standard Control 13 seconds adrift to Cheezmonkey. So Cheezmonkey looking very good for this race win, and he's going to extend his gap in the title race as well. Marty's done bits though in the pit stop phase, looking to the outside of Quideo here. This is going to be for a net podium place once Sergey comes into the pits. So there's a lot of stake here between these two as Quideo and Marty are going at it. But for now, Quideo survives that storm ahead of Marty Road Racing. These two look like they're having a great tussle. I don't want to get up and go and turn the light on because I feel like I'll miss something. We just quickly run and turn the light on. It's getting a bit dark in here. But for now, it looks like it's as you were between those two. Starting to pull out a bit of a gap to Marty for the battle for that final podium spot. Cheezmonkey got ahead of Sergey before Sergey came into the pits. Cheezmonkey inherits that lead of the race which he had earlier on, so now he's very much the race leader. He's got a looks like a 13-second gap still to standard control, so looks like he's pretty much staying the same at the moment. Standard control obviously lost out a little bit, had that spin coming out in the last corner when he was on the back of Cheezmonkey, and seems like he lost a bit more time in the pit stops as well. Maybe he's opted for a tyre change, whereas Cheezmonkey hasn't, in which case standard control would have a pace advantage towards the end of the race, but not 100% sure if that is the case. Has already gapped Marty quite a bit now, 2 seconds between those two. So yeah, the gap is 13 seconds between Cheezmonkey and standard control, and standard control has got a mountain to climb here if he wants to keep the gap reasonably close between himself and Cheezmonkey. Cheezmonkey, the championship leader, looks like he's going to be set to extend his championship gap. Marty's still sat within 2 seconds of Prodeo right now. Sergey Zeynalov doing a good job, best of the rest, sat in P5. He's got a huge gap back to Kingpin, sat in 6th, although having said that, that might be down to a bit stops. That might not have updated itself just at the moment. All 19 cars have been in to make their mandatory pit stops, so they've all got it done and out of the way. And Cheezmonkey's still your race leader, but the race starting to pick just... The action's starting to peter out a little bit, not a whole lot going on at this point. Because we've got 25 minutes left, pit window closes in about 30 seconds time, so pit window almost done, everybody's done their pit stop anyway, so they haven't got to worry about that. But the gap between Cheezmonkey and standard control staying the same, still 13 seconds. And this is what Cheezmonkey needed. I was saying earlier on in the build-up to this one during the qualifying session that all Cheezmonkey needed to do was finish on the podium twice in the next 2 races, this one and the next one at Alton Park, the finale, and at the moment he's looking like he's going to do better than that. He's going to extend his gap, and it would take a simply monumental capitulation at this point for him not to take the title next week at Alton Park. As it looks like Marty's keeping the gap to Prodeo at just under 2 seconds, but not really making any gains. Prodeo did gain 2/10 on him over the course of that last sector there of that lap. Xander Flanders coming into the pits again, so I don't know if he's had an off somewhere, made a mistake, or had some kind of calamity. Maybe he's got some damage on the car because he's already been in for his mandatory pit, so presumably he's had to come in and impromptually to get something done. I see a lot of cars looking close on the track, but I think there's a bit of traffic and a bit of overlap going on there because there's a few drivers that aren't on the same lap, so it looks like the pack is quite close in certain parts, but I think that they are drivers on different laps. So there's not really a whole load of battling going on at this point in the race. But just to fill you in, if you're just joining us here on the Motive Racing channel, Cheezmonkey led the race from second place after getting the jump on Cheezmonkey on the first lap, out dragging him down towards turn 2. And has pretty much led the race since then. Standard control. Cheezmonkey's led the race since jumping standard control at the start. Standard control was on the back of him for a few laps, but made a mistake out of the last corner, and that dropped him way off at the back of him. They came into the pits, and Cheezmonkey gained another couple of seconds in the pit stop phase. I'm not sure whether Standard Control's been into the pits and put some new tyres on. Potentially he has, and if he has done, then he'll have a much better grip than Cheezmonkey in the closing stages of this race. So keep an eye on that, because usually if a driver loses a couple of seconds inexplicably in the pit stop phases, it can often be down to a tyre change. So we're definitely going to have to watch that one closely and see how that one pans out. We're here, whilst we're just going through a little bit of a dry spill just fell on the stream right now. I want to say a big thank you to all of the patrons here at Motive Racing. I'm going to just load the patrons up on the screen. You guys all know who you are anyway, but a huge thank you to all of you, to Will-Friedman, Superfast Joe, Evans, Nick DeVilla, Snooky, Freeman, Lazy Camel, M. Afford, RaKiMaJe, Rompu, deedeeTKU, Nilsson, Chris Pisuk, Slaed, DJ Phil and Kenny. Contribution that you guys all make to us, help us to run the servers, pretty much keeps us going, and so yeah, you guys are absolute legends. Thank you ever so much. Cheezmonkey still leading this race by just over 12 seconds, but Standard Control's bringing the gap down. He's gained about 6/10 over this last lap or so, so Standard Control is definitely not out of this one at the moment. If he has put some fresh boots on, and as I said a few times in the last few minutes, he will have the pace advantage in the closing stages. Look at that, he's getting about 7/10 in that sector alone. Wow, Standard Control is making some substantial gains here in this part of the race. Road racing still about 2.5 seconds, so it looks like Quadeo's got the measure of him at the moment. If Quadeo were to make a little mistake or the wheel on the grass, then you can bet that Martin's going to be there, ready to pounce and take that podium spot back away from him. Lazy Camel has got 3 seconds back to Duke Martin. Keep an eye and see if Duke Martin can bring that gap down, or has Lazy Camel got enough to hold on for that 11th spot. Very close there, as we just saw Marty getting onto the power, putting a lap on Steve Ellish. Steve Ellish gets well out of the way, but thought that Marty was pretty close to losing control of the car there. That would have dropped him off for the back of Quadeo just a little bit. Quadeo still sat in that B3. The gap's still coming down between Cheezmonkey and Standard Control, down to 10.8. It's gained another 6/10 over that sort of half a lap period. So I think I'd hazard a guess and say that I think Standard Control has put some fresh tyres on. He dropped a bit of time to Cheezmonkey in the pit stop phases due to that, but he will have a lot fresher rubber once we get to the end of this race, and could potentially have a bigger pace advantage once we get into the final few laps. I mean, the pace advantage is quite clear now, but as it goes on, that advantage will only get more significant. We've got a comment in the YouTube section right now. Alex White says we'll continue, but I don't want to get in the way of the other drivers. I was going well, but I ran into traffic, got a little punt, and it just upset my flow, and I binned it. All the learning curve. And that's Xander Flander there. Unfortunate there for you, mate. Xander Flander looks like he has retired the car, and I'm sure he'll be back for the next one, but that's a real shame there for you. But we'll see if he can get the damage repaired quickly. He might get back out there and put the car through its paces. I'm just noticing here on the timing screen between the two leaders, Cheezmonkey and Standard Control, Standard Control's dropped a bit of time there through the mountain section, so I don't know if he made a mistake. I kind of was looking at the I'll be honest with you, I was looking at the stream to look at the comment from Alex, so I didn't see what happened there. But presumably there's been a little bit of a mistake there from standard control. I presume that some of you guys on the stream would have seen that and will know what happened. But he's dropped about 3 seconds there to Cheezmonkey just on that sector alone. So that would not have been what he wanted in his progress to try and win this race. I think he's going to have to really be gaining about a second and a half a lap if he wants to win this race now. Standard control could be beyond him, but I'm sure he's going to give it everything. He really needs to gain points on Cheezmonkey. He can't afford to lose more points to him in the championship battle. He needs to really be finishing ahead of him in order to take the fight realistically to the final round at Alton Park. Cheezmonkey will be putting himself pretty much in striking distance for the title if he can hold on here for this race win. He'll have a fantastic chance going into the final round next week at Alton Park, and right now he's got a 13-second gap to standard control. Martin continuing to roll the gap down to Lazy Campbell, just over a second between these two now. This is for the final top 10 spot. Martin has been making the gains on him over the last few laps. Nilsson's in the pits, just noticing, and Pete Lib as well. So with the mandatory pit stop done and dusted, this is obviously for damage. Didn't see what happened to those guys, but they clearly had a bit of a skirmish into the wall or something has gone awry. But Lazy Campbell and Duke Martin separated by just over a second. Duke Martin's been gradually bringing the gap down over these last few laps. I don't know if Lazy Campbell's made a couple of mistakes and it's come down in chunks, or whether it's been just a gradual closing in. But it's looking like Duke Martin now almost within striking distance here of the Lazy Campbell. Rodeo's gap to Marty still about 2.5 seconds, so it's staying as it is between those two. King Quinn though has got Will-Friedman really reeling him in here over these last few laps. Only 1.8 seconds between Quinn and Will as they put a lap there. Oh no, in fact actually King Quinn's got a little bit held up there behind Ryan Ruby, and Ryan in no mood to yield out of the way, and that's really cost King Quinn a little bit of time there. Will-Friedman now very close to the back of him as King Quinn tags the wall a little bit there coming out of the mountain section. Here we come down the hill. Will-Friedman's going to have a great chance here of picking up this P6. He's going to have that slipstream effect. Is he going to be able to make the most of it here? The BMW definitely picking up a toe. He's going to pull out to the right hand side now. Will-Friedman looks like he is going to pick up this 6th place. And there we go, routine stuff there from Will. BMW power taking him through. Great move there from Will-Friedman. He'll be hoping that Ryan's a little bit more kinder to him than he was to King Quinn. But Ryan, to be fair to him, has managed to pull away from these two since they were battling it out. So he's clearly got the pace. Just unfortunate that this race has not been very kind to him. Alex White says to go to the Lazy Campbell for a top 10. Lazy Campbell currently holding on Alex, and to be fair to him, he's pulled out a bit of a gap to Duke Martin. Duke Martin was reeling him in, but now it looks like Lazy Campbell's pulled a bit of time out of the bag and has started to create a bit of a cushion between himself and Duke Martin. King Quinn's into the pits, so that damage that we saw from the mountain collision with the wall looks like it's I think ruined his chances of taking a P6 here. Will-Friedman's now in a very comfortable 6th place, and he's managed to get ahead of the back marker Ryan Ruby there. So Ryan maybe being a little bit more courteous to Will than he was to King Quinn, but to be fair, you know, I know there are blue flags, but if you can't make the move, if you're not actually quicker than the back marker, then the back marker, I don't think, should have to get out of the way. I think if you're not quicker, if you're not substantially fast enough to clear the back marker, then you know you shouldn't be waved through or made it easy. Gap between Prodeo and Marty's now up to 3.3, so Prodeo is continuing to make some gains and pull away from Marty. Gap between Cheezmonkey and Standard Control still 13 seconds, so Cheezmonkey is more than matching Standard Control at this point and looking very, very good for a race win as long as he keeps it out of the barriers and keeps doing exactly what he's doing at the moment. It's been a superb drive from Cheezmonkey. Started on the front row alongside Standard Control in second place, got the jump on him in the early stages and has just managed to maintain the lead since then. Standard Control was all over the back of him in the early stages and was giving him a bit of a tussle, but Cheezmonkey has weathered the storm and forced Standard Control into a mistake as he was trying to get past him. In the end, Standard Control dropped back by about 10 seconds. The pit stop phases, he dropped back a further couple of seconds. Was gaining out of the pits. He closed the gap from about 12 seconds down to about 10 in the space of 3 laps, but then presumably made another mistake, and that's dropped him down to around 13 seconds off of Cheezmonkey. And since that mistake, it's maybe knocked the wind out of Standard Control's sails just a little bit, and he hasn't been able to bring the gap down anymore. Possibly a bit of damage on the front end of the car, maybe starting to hamper him ever so slightly. But whatever it is, Cheezmonkey looks like he is at least the joint fastest man out on track alongside Standard Control. Well, having said that, Standard Control just took 6 tenths out of them on that sector, so definitely not making any bets right now. But Cheezmonkey looking good, it has to be said, for this race win if he keeps doing what he's doing. Gap between the Laser Camel and Duke Martin coming down, continuing to develop here between these two. Duke Martin, though, looks like he's lost a bit of time there coming through that first sector. It was 8 tenths between them. It looks like it's just over a second now. Lazy Camel quicker in certain parts of the track, but Duke Martin really reels him in other parts. Just looking at this battle for the win between Cheezmonkey and Standard Control is coming down even more. Standard Control's taking another second out of him through that sector there. Just we're starting to write him off. It looks like he's started to take that gap down once again. There's a drive-through penalty for Unsutchinlove, presumably for track limits here. So Unsutchinlove having a bit of a mare, but hats off to him. Respect to jump in at the last minute and give this a go. He's not too experienced on ACC, so he can only improve from where he is right now. And as I say, you've got to respect somebody who jumps in a game that they're not all too familiar with and gives it a go. He wanted to make up the numbers, he wanted to have some good fun, and he put in a comment earlier on which just says it all. Said that he was enjoying his racing despite being at the back and despite being a few laps off of the pace. He's still enjoying it, just getting a feel for these GT4 cars around this Mount Panorama circuit, and that's the attitude that you want to have really in sim racing. You just want to enjoy what you're doing and have some good fun and meet a few good people along the way, and that's what he's doing right now. Currently in P18, but still enjoying his racing and making the most of this GT4 Championship. But looks like Standard Control has dropped off from Cheezmonkey a little bit. He was bringing the gap down, it was 11.5. Cheezmonkey's taken half a second back through that middle sector, but it's ebbing and throwing between these two at the moment as Credeo's in the pits. Oh no, Credeo must have made a mistake. Marty's up into the podium spots. I don't know if he underfueled his car or if he's... Oh no, he's got damage on the front of that car. Oh, that bump has been into the wall. That's gutting there for Credeo. He was in a podium spot. Marty road racing is up into third, and his perseverance has paid off, but got to feel a little bit sorry for Credeo there, because he was in a great position here in this Tier 1 race. Obviously regular in Tier 2, looks like he's going to take the Tier 2 Championship and will pick up the win for Tier 2 tonight, but he was in for a podium in the overall classification tonight, and that's unfortunately put a spanner in the works for that. But he's still sat in P6 and will take the Tier 2 win as it stands, with King Queen quite a long way behind in P7. You kind of got to look at it as a pro and pro-am tonight. That's kind of how it's panning out. Looks like Standard Control's continuing to gain on Cheezmonkey. Cheezmonkey took half a second back in the middle sector on the previous lap, but on that final sector, Standard Control managed to gain a second and a half. So he's absolutely flying in most parts of the track, and continuing to keep Cheezmonkey guessing here in the final part of this race. 10 seconds should be enough for Cheezmonkey to bring it home, as long as he stays consistent and keeps it out of the walls. But it's going to be squeaky bum time for him if Standard Control keeps up the pace that he's on right now. Martin must have made a mistake because he's dropped off the back of the Lazy Camel. He was within a second of him a couple of laps ago, but it looks like the Lazy Camel's managed to give himself a bit of a buffer there in that P10. As RaKiMaJe says in the comments there, Andy and crew, thanks for commentating the races, makes it way more fun. It means a lot, man, thank you very much. That's what we aim to do, we aim to provide entertainment and give the drivers something to watch. If drivers who race in our other series want to come along and see their mates racing and give them the support, you know, obviously the camaraderie that we've got within the community, it really is so cool to see. And also for the guys who are out on the track right now, one thing is, you know, for them to be able to watch it back and see the battles they were involved in and just, you know, sit back with a beer in hand or whatever your choice of brew you like to have, you know, they can just sit back and enjoy the race that they were in and hopefully get something out of it. But Lazy Camel here looks like he's about to be unlapped by Ryan Ruby. Ryan Ruby's still putting in the laps and still got some solid pace despite having a bit of a mare in the early part of the race, and Lazy Camel doesn't fight that one too hard. Knows that Ryan has got a pace advantage here at this stage in the race. As Standard Control still continuing to bring the gap down to Cheezmonkey, now 9.5 seconds, so he's really on it at the moment. Is Standard Control now just over 9 seconds between these two, but I reckon we're in for 4 more laps here. So 9 seconds over 4 laps. I don't think Standard Control is going to get there in time. Cheezmonkey, I think, has got just enough of a buffer to be able to bring this home. But we'll have to see. I've been wrong previously, and I will be wrong again at some point in the future as well. So if that's tonight, maybe not, maybe it will be. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. deedeeTKU in the comments there says Martin Zeynalov. Go Martin Zeynalov, Will-Friedman, stop being so damn fast. Yeah, Will's just picking off at the moment, deedeeTKU, and I think he's going to be sizing up Sergey very shortly. Will didn't have the best of the starts to this race, came into this round with an outside shot at the title, but unfortunately tagged the wall coming through the mountain section in the first part of the race. It's been a recovery drive for Will, but he's got to be a candidate for driver of the day tonight, to be fair, because Will-Friedman has absolutely shot up through the pack since the early stages. Was down in, I think, P15 since making an impromptu pit stop, and obviously he's had to make his mandatory pit stop along with everybody else since then as well, and it's still picked him off. He's gained about 10 positions. He looks like he's going to be sizing up Sergey Zeynalov and pick up this P4 position very shortly. Sergey's a very strong defensive driver, but the pace advantage that Will's got, I can't see him holding him behind him for too long. As we're bumper to bumper out of turn 1, Will's going to get a lovely run here down the straight up the hill. The BMW power once again is going to be, I think he's going to have an advantage here over the Audi, but Sergey's going to defend the inside line coming up towards turn 2. Here we go then, Will pulls to the outside, Sergey on the inside is going to try and defend the position and late brake if he can. He's going to try and push Will a little bit wide if possible, but I think Will's going to hang it around the outside. No, he taps the wall a little bit, and Sergey holding on to position for the time being. So Sergey Zeynalov in no mood to let Will just drive past him. He's going to give this absolutely everything he can to fight this one out for 4th place here in this race. He's got just under 5 minutes left to go, so not too long for him to keep Will at bay. Will on the recovery in this race, looking to get what he can out of this one. As we're seeing the gap at the front between Cheezmonkey and Standard Control still continuing to come down, 8 seconds between those two, but I think it's going to be too little too late for Standard Control. But never say never. I think we're on our 3rd to last lap of this race, so basically best part of 3 laps left to go here in this one. 8 seconds isn't insurmountable, especially when you consider that Standard Control is on fresher tyres. He put his tyres on about 20 minutes ago, whereas Cheezmonkey's done about 55 minutes of driving on those tyres. So don't rule it out, but I think it might be a little bit beyond Standard Control to get the win here in this one, but as I said, never say never. Sergey still running just ahead of Will-Friedman right now. In fact, no, Will's made the move. Will's got ahead of him. Must have done that in the mountain section. And Will-Friedman, after being down to 14th or 15th place, I think it was, in the early stage of this race before the pit window, has now got himself back up into P4. He's recovered absolutely brilliantly from his early skirmishes. He's not going to get a podium. Marty Road Racing's got enough of a gap there in that 3rd place, but you've got to really give Will-Friedman a lot of credit here. in this one for the way that he's come back. Also one man to shout out, Duke Martin's closing back up onto the rear end of Daisy Campbell. These two have been going at it since the start of the race pretty much. Duke Martin once again within striking distance, but every time he gets close he seems to make a mistake and let the pressure get to him. Can he ram home his pace advantage this time around and get himself into that final top 10 spot, or is the Lazy Camel going to hold on and bring it home in that 10th spot? We'll have to wait and see over the course of these last couple of laps. The gap between Cheezmonkey and Standard Control now down at 6 seconds. Standard Control is gaining hand over fist in these last few laps of the race. This is unbelievable pace from Standard Control as he just puts a lap there on somebody. I think it wasn't Nilsson. Yeah, it was Grulo that Standard Control was just putting a lap on, but 4 seconds, oh my goodness me. I think Cheezmonkey must have made a mistake on that previous lap there. He's brought it down by 2 seconds in one sector. Standard Control could be on for a race win here. Could it be that changing tyres in the pit stops will turn out to be an inspired strategic decision here from Standard Control? Cheezmonkey's pretty much led the entirety of this race. He's led every lap of this one. Got ahead of Standard Control off the line. Obviously qualified in second alongside Standard Control on the front row, but Cheezmonkey's led since getting that move done into turn 2 on lap 1. But Standard Control is reeling him in and coming after him in these closing stages of the race. This could go either way at this point. Cheezmonkey has led this race from start to the current point, has done this entire race on one set of tyres. Standard Control running on slightly fresher tyres, put these on with about about half an hour left in the race actually, so he's done about half the race on these compared to Cheezmonkey doing almost the whole race on his tyres. But Standard Control with significantly fresher tyres, and we'll have a pace advantage here as we've got a lap and a half left to go here at Mount Panorama. An ultimate round of the season. Just for a bit of context, Cheezmonkey came into this round with a 22-point lead in the championship. Standard Control knows he has to finish in front of Cheezmonkey to realistically keep that title fight going until the final round next week at Alton Park. Cheezmonkey doing everything he has to do, and he will extend that championship gap as it stands, and it could be uncatchable for Standard Control if Cheezmonkey does take this win. He's got just over a lap to go. He's coming into the final chicane for the second last time here in this race. 40 seconds on the clock. We're going to have one more lap here at Bathurst as somebody's taken the braking markers for a bit of a ride there coming into the final corner. That might distract these two a little bit. Cheezmonkey coming through and up on the scene.
Okay.
Who is that in the foreground? We'll find out in a few moments time. But Cheezmonkey onto the final lap here for round 7 of the GT4 Championship here at Motive Racing on Assetto Corsa Competizione for our PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 leagues. Cheezmonkey looking set to extend this championship gap to Standard Control, but anything can happen on this final lap. Standard Control has been reeling him in over these last 2 laps, seems to have a lot more grip on the fresher tyres, but is it going to come to no avail in his pursuit of the race win? Cheezmonkey's done the bits here, he's done everything right. He's taking the lead off of Standard Control in the early stages. Standard Control took a bit of a gamble, put some fresh tyres on, lost a bit of time in the pit stops. It looks to have paid off in terms of the way that he's made the gains on Cheezmonkey. He's had the pace advantage and has got closer to Cheezmonkey than he was before the pit stop phases due to that decision. But I don't think it's going to be enough with only half a lap left to go. Cheezmonkey's got a bit of traffic in front of him here. He's got a bit of traffic. So looks like it is... We'll find out in a moment. It's actually Cordeo. So Cordeo was running in a podium spot in the early start. Well, for most of the race really. He was in a good battle with Marky Road Racing, made a mistake, had to come into the pits, and has dropped down to P6. It just goes to show actually what an amazing job Cheezmonkey and Standard Control have done. Oh no! Oh, as Cordeo tags Ryan Ruby. Ryan Ruby was being lapped by both of them there as Cheezmonkey squeezes through. Cheezmonkey's heart rate must have been absolutely through the roof there as he came through to put a lap on both Gwinnett and Ryan Ruby. He makes his way through as standard controllers in the background. Within 2 seconds now of Cheezmonkey, but Cheezmonkey's just got a couple of corners left to go now and looks set to take this race win. That must have been heart in mouth time there for Cheezmonkey. He must have seen his race flashing before his eyes. In towards the final chicane he comes. Cheezmonkey came into this round, penultimate round of the season, with a 22-point gap in the championship. Knew that he could give himself pretty much a guaranteed chance of taking it next week if he could win this race. Knew he finished on the podium this evening, and all he'd have to do is finish on the podium next week to take the championship. But he takes the win and extends his gap in the point standings. Cheezmonkey is your race winner here at Bathurst. Standard Control takes second place. Great battle between these two throughout the race. Standard Control needed a couple more laps in the race but couldn't do it. Cheezmonkey your winner ahead of Standard Control. Marty Road Racing will complete the podium. He's a long way behind these two. It just goes to show the dominance of these two, that they lapped everyone up to P6 in that race. Astonishing form from both of those two. Will-Friedman would have been on the podium if it hadn't been for his mistake early on. But they are also, for Marty Road Racing, you've got to give credit to him because he has made the most of everybody else's mistakes. He's kept it going, hasn't made any mistakes himself, and he's going to finish on the podium here. Comes over the line there to complete the race. Really well done there to Marty Road Racing. Will-Friedman also a success story in this race of sorts. Obviously made the mistake in the early stages coming through the mountain, got a bit of damage, had to come into the pits. Unscheduled pit stop in the early stages, which before the pit window opened, so that dropped him way back down the field. I think he was in 15th place in the early stages, has brought his way back up into 4th place with some brilliant overtakes and some solid strategy as well. Will-Friedman is coming in towards the final chicane, puts a lap on HR USA as he comes through as well, and down the hill he comes under the Liquid Molly Bridge in towards the final corner. He's about to put a lap on C Mellish, but C Mellish will stay on that on the same lap as him just about. C Mellish in turn is about to finish in 8th place. Oh, he gets off the Paolo out the last corner. I don't know what's going on there. Will-Friedman though over the line to take P4. Sergey Zeynalov not too far off the back of Will in the end, having lost the position to him in the closing laps. Sergey comes over to take a P5 here in this race. Rodeo finished in 6th, King Quinn 7th, HR USA was in 8th, C Mellish 9th, Lazy Camel. It looks like Duke Martin's made another mistake there because he's dropped way off the back of Lazy Camel. So Lazy Camel completing the top 10, a really solid drive from him. We stood the pressure from Duke Martin brilliantly. Duke Martin crosses the line in 11th place. Grulo classified in 12th. Castle Racing, not the race for him. 13th place for him, out of sorts tonight to say the least. Snooky 14th, Nilsson 15th. Pete Bibb, Ryan Ruby with the calamities at the start, classified in 17th spot. I'm such another 18th. Sander Flander retired a few laps from the end. 19th for him. 19 drivers finishing the race. Absolute brilliant turnout tonight for the GT4s. Cheezmonkey, your winner ahead of Standard Control. Marty Road Racing completing the podium. A huge thank you to all of you guys who came onto the stream, who dropped a like, who commented as well. And a huge thank you to the drivers as well. Make sure you join us next week for the championship decider for the GT4s. Who is it going to be? Is it going to be Cheezmonkey or is it going to be Standard Control? Make sure you tune in same time, same place next week. We'll be at Alton Park. But from us, it's a huge thank you. Big thank you to the patrons as well. We're going to put you guys on the screen there, to all of you guys who put your faith in us, who contribute to our Patreon service. Will-Friedman, Evans, Snooky, the Lazy Camel, RaKiMaJe, deedeeTKU, Slaed, DJ Phil, Kenny, Superfast Joe, Nick the Villa, Freeman, M. Afford, Rompu, Nilsson, and Chris Pisuk. But from all of us, it's we wish you a good evening, and we'll see you in the next one. Join us on Saturday night for the Project Cars 2 GT3s, the finale of the season. Will be at Le Mans Bugatti. Championship already wrapped up for that one, so that's just the last race of the season at Le Mans Bugatti. Hopefully we get a good turnout for that one. Also Sunday night we've got the finale of the ACC GT3s, so definitely come along and check that out, and also GT4s as previously mentioned on next Wednesday. But from us, big thank you once again, and we will see you in the next one. Good night.
Green light, give it all you can.
what's happened here. When you look at your driver time, you're not allowed to do more than 4.
Green light, give it all you can.
This driver time, particularly in very hot conditions, is going to be key to winning the Liquid Molly Bathurst 12 out here today.
Brilliant scenes on the grid. It's gradually beginning to be cleared. If I look out over Harris Park, there are still people coming in this morning at 20 minutes before 6 o'clock. We'll have this extraordinary opening to the race. No darkness practice, remember. So if